Hi, this is Lou Covey and my partner Joe Vasquez with Footwasher Media, and we're doing another one of our irregular hangouts here. Joe, how are you this morning? What's going on in Austin, Texas?
It's hot over here in Austin, Texas. You might notice it's a little darker than usual. I've got the curtains pulled, trying to keep it kind of cool in here.
And I hear you have an assistant today.
I do. My little one's here in the room too, so hopefully not too distracting for you.
Not at all. I'm a grandpa. I like that kind of stuff now. So we got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, so we were talking a little earlier this week, and you mentioned to me that there are some words that you thought should be banned from marketing.
Yeah.
So I thought this was interesting because I was like, what in the world would we possibly ban? So give me one of those words.
Oh, well, here's the thing is that, I've been doing this stuff for almost 50 years now. And one of the things I've noticed is that certain words pop up all the time, mostly in press releases, but with the growth of the internet, they've now started morphing into all media content, and there's all kinds of lists out there about things you should avoid. The 50 words, the 10 words, the 9 words, whatever. And so this is kind of the title of this thing even pisses me off that we have this list here. But these are words that have been around for a long time, and what I've discovered is that they're kind of like what Inigo Montoya says in The Princess Bride. That word you keep using, I don't think it means what you think it means.
Great reference.
And the fact of the matter is that these words turn people off. The only people they mean anything to are the people that they're written about. The CEOs, the companies, the technologies they make, and those are the only companies that care about these words. They insist on them being in there. And I want to talk about the good part about getting rid of these things and the bad part about getting rid of them. But let's start off with
because I got a feeling that I know where you're going, and if it is where I think you're going here, the first question would be what's wrong with them. So give me one example of a word that you think should be banned.
Leader.
Leader. Okay.
Leader.
Well, everybody wants to be a leader. What's wrong with that word?
Well, okay. Here's the thing. This word came into use in press releases specifically after this guy Geoffrey Moore wrote a book called Crossing the Chasm, and in that book he said, in order to succeed and to cross the chasm into general acceptance of your technology, you have to find an area where you can be the #1 leader in, and then become that leader. Okay. Now the problem is that most people get this book and they put it on their bookshelf, and they know what they've been told about the book, but they've never really learned what that book actually says. And what Moore was saying was that you need to actually lead in that area. But what most companies do is say, as long as we find something that no one else is doing, okay, then we can be the leader in that. And so
I think that's the big distinction. I remember working in PR and having this discussion over and over and over with clients that didn't be in there, and that's why, because the thing they were focused on, they weren't really the leader in.
Yeah, well, it's even more importantly is that, is there anybody else that needs to be led there? I mean, there's one of my favorite sayings. I found out it comes from it's an old Afghan saying, and it said, if you're thinking you're leading, turn around. If there's no one there, you're just taking a walk. And everyone who claims to be a leader in this world is really following somebody else who actually is a leader. Right. They're probably so far behind the pack that everyone knows it. And if you want to look at who the leader is, you look at the company that never used the term to describe itself. Leaders don't have to say they're leaders. That's the bottom line. So that's actually, I think, the biggest one right now is that
the interesting thing too with technology is that we have companies that do things well, and we always have someone who comes along and does it better. And when you end up doing it better or adding a new bell or whistle, you actually become the leader. right? So there is opportunity for things to change, but you don't just say it for the sake of saying it.
Yeah, and that actually brings me to the second word that I want to talk about. And they're actually two different words, but they're used interchangeably. First and only. Okay? Lots of companies will say they are the first to do something or the first to provide something, and they are usually wrong when they say that. A venture capitalist once told me in a meeting with a client, if you think you're the first or only company to do something, that means either no one thinks it's worth doing or you haven't done your proper market research.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then there are those companies that actually were the first to do something, but no one remembers because someone came along and did it better.
Right.
Go Computing was a very good example of that. That's the first one to come out with a tablet PC. No one remembers. Matter of fact, I remember sitting in a room at a trade show when Go Computer was first being launched. And they were meeting with a very influential editor who happened to be a very good friend of mine. She just wanted me to sit back and wait so we can go out and get a drink. And the whole thing absolutely failed right in front of the editor. And the CEO was literally in tears because he knew this editor was very influential. He says, please, you cannot tell people what happened here. And she said, hey, I can't help it. This is my job. You were the one that set up the meeting. So that's it. And Go died. They were the first ones too, but being first doesn't mean you're a leader.
Right, right.
So
give me another example of.
Here's a word that really makes me grit my teeth every time I see it. Key. Everything is key. This is a key component. This is a key influencer. And it actually means of crucial importance. That means if it isn't there, everything else falls apart. But no one can, when everyone uses that term, they can't actually prove that if you pulled that component out or that concept out, that the whole thing would fall apart. And it's so overused, it's lost its meaning. And I think you could actually replace the word with block.
That's interesting. So that's based on the definition.
Yeah. But the thing is, you see it, and that's one of the problems with these words is that people hear these words or they read these words, and their brain shuts off because they know it means absolutely nothing. And you've got to change that. And that's often used as a descriptor for the next word that I like to talk about, solution. As in, this is a key solution.
Double whammy, right?
A solution is how a problem was solved, or a stable amalgamation of multiple components. And this is one of those words that I don't think they understand what it means. Most companies describe neither the problem nor the component so that no one really knows what it is that this solution is talking about. And I actually have a different definition with this. An engineer once told me that whenever a scientist or an engineer designates something as a field, it means they know that something is there. They don't know what or why or how it exists, only that it's there, such as an electrical field, a magnetic field, etc. No one actually knows what's in there. No one knows what a gravitational field is. They just know that stuff happens in it. And the things are complete mysteries. A solution is the same thing in marketing. No one knows what it is, how it exists, what it actually interacts with. It's just we don't know what else to call this thing, so we're going to call it a solution. It might be more interesting and accurate to call it a Feldergarb.
So let me ask you this question.
You're going to ask me what a Feldergarb is?
No.
It's a nonsense word, all right?
So, I figured, because I'd never heard it. So, but here's the thing. So, and this is part of a discussion I've had before. If there are leaders in your segment who are using these words, don't you want to be classified with them?
Sure, but the fact of the matter is that the leaders don't use them because they don't need to.
There are a lot of companies that, when we look at their websites and their communications programs, they tend to use the same words. and they're keywords, right? And a lot of that is coming out of keywords and SEO search. So you have certain elements of management who think these things have to be there. What is the problem with having these things there, even if they don't mean what you think they mean, even if people's brains shut off, but you still get high on a Google search?
Because, well, number one, these words are not keywords for SEO. Keywords help you identify themselves, and if everyone uses them, then they no longer help your SEO. If everyone is saying they're the first or the only, or everything is a key solution, or if everyone is a leader, then no one is. There is no differentiation. That's the problem.
So I think that's actually the bigger problem from a sales perspective in trying to get new customers and bring in new customers, right? If everyone's saying these things, there is no differentiation. So then what is your new customer supposed to do? Why would they choose you?
That's the problem. If they can't, if your words don't tell you or differentiate you from everyone else, then the only thing they've got to base their decision on is either, number one, who are the real leaders, the perceived leaders in the market, and if they don't want to go with them, then they want to go with number two, who is the cheapest. And the fact of the matter is, the biggest players in the market can generally undercut the smaller players to grab market share.
Sure, they make their money back up somewhere else, right?
So even the leaders are going to be the low price guys.
Right. All right, so we don't have time to go through this entire list of things you have. Do you have this full list up on your blog, or will it be available for people to look at?
Yeah, we're going to put this up on Communications Basics. And that'll be up probably this afternoon. And the rest of them are more along the lines of be taken out. And I'll tell you the reason they need to be taken out. Once you take them out, you're going to find, if you're using them, that most of the content that you've put in there is going to disappear. You're going to have absolutely no reason to put out a press release because it says nothing else. And this is both the good news and bad news of this. The bad news is, okay, that means you have nothing to announce. You have nothing to talk to the press about. And you have nothing actually to grab the attention of your customers. But the good news is, now you can actually take a look at where your company is. You can suddenly realize, hey, we're not innovating. We're not creating anything. This is not good. We need to take our company in a new direction. And the only way you're going to be able to see that is to clear away the dreck of all of this other stuff. So that's.
And I think a lot of people don't like to hear that, right? Because no one wants to think that their company's not innovative. But I think what does happen a lot of times is that we choose as a company to tell the wrong story. Your company probably is innovative. Your company probably is a leader or first in doing something. Unfortunately, those are the stories we don't always tell.
Yeah.
So, my recommendation for people who get rid of these words and realize, hey, our press release doesn't say anything, we need a new angle, we need to look at something different, give us a call, because that's what we do. Yep. Right? It's a little self-serving, but it's true that when you get an outside view, a lot of times you find things that are unique and different and first, but maybe you just weren't telling that story.
Yep. And that's the bottom line. You need to find something that does differentiate you. That's the hardest thing to do, and most people aren't prepared for it. But Joe, this has been fun. Get back to your heat and your daughter, and have a good day.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.